Are you having a hard time figuring out what to get Dad for Father's Day? You should check out Row 1 Brand's Vintage Pictorum Gallery. They have America's best sports art. With over 7,200 historic sports prints, you're assured to find something unique for Dad this Father's Day. Instead of a boring old tie, get him a historic baseball photo taken by Henry High Sandham at the historic Polo Grounds Stadium in New York City during the 1894 Temple Cup. Or, if he's an NFL buff, check out the 1963 vintage NFL poster. These are so good looking that you'll be amazed how they turn out. Shop now at sportshistorynetwork.com/row1 and save 15% off your order.
The 2021 Professional Football Researchers Association Convention will be held at the Gold Jacket Lounge at the Pro Football Hall of Fame during the final weekend of June. Convention speakers will celebrate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the NFL. The fee for the convention is $50 for members and $100 for non-members. The fee includes admission to the convention and Pro Football Hall of Fame, meals on Friday evening and Saturday afternoon, and free parking. All convention activities are subject to COVID-19 protocols. For more details, click on the 2021 PFRA convention link at profootballresearchers.org.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
It's time for Lombardi Memories, a show that takes you back in time, into January or February, to the greatest one-day spectacle in all of sports. This is the Three Other Tuesday podcast that looks back at each and every one of the 50-plus Super Bowls and tells the story of who won and why. For a fan who needs more than a box score, this podcast goes drive by drive, play by play, through the most dramatic games in history. I'm your host, Tommy A. Phillips. You can visit my website at tommyaphillips.com, where you can find all of my books. Today we have Super Bowl 14, which was held on January 20th, 1980, in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, between the three-time and defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers and the first-time NFC champion Los Angeles Rams. As always, we have a pop quiz and then homework at the end of the episode. The pop quiz question for today is, well, the Rams, they made it to the Super Bowl with 7 regular season losses. What two other teams have reached the Super Bowl with 7 losses? The answer will come at the end of the podcast. The defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers were rather vulnerable in 1979. They only barely won their season opener at New England in overtime, and they suffered 2 losses in a 3-game span in mid-season. They got killed 35-7 by the Chargers, and they lost an emotional game late in the season to Houston. Having said all that, they still finished 12-4 and won the AFC Central. The Steelers won an easy divisional round game over Miami, 34-14. In the AFC Championship game against Houston, the Steelers held a tentative lead when the Oilers seemingly completed a touchdown pass that got overruled by the officials. Some say it cost Houston the game. I say it didn't. Pittsburgh won by 2 touchdowns anyway, 27-13, and advanced to its 4th Super Bowl. Pittsburgh was led by quarterback Terry Bradshaw, who had a monster year with 3,724 yards and 26 touchdowns. He also threw 25 interceptions, making his passer rating only 77.0. But boy, did he light it up in the air. Receiver John Stallworth caught 70 passes for 1,183 yards and 8 touchdowns, leading the team in all those categories. But there's also a couple other good receivers. Lynn Swann, He had 41 catches for just over 800 yards and 5 scores. And then you had tight end Benny Cunningham, and he caught 36 passes, got just over 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. Running back Franco Harris led the running game with 1,186 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. Total, 1 of them receiving, 11 of them rushing. The LA Rams were not the type of team you'd expect to see in the Super Bowl. They were 4-5 in midseason and 5-6 after Week 11. But they won 4 games in a row to take the NFC West crown, and they made it into the playoffs as the lowest-ranked NFC division champion. They then narrowly defeated the number 1 seeded Dallas Cowboys 21-19 in the divisional round to advance to the NFC Championship game at Tampa Bay. What was it about the Rams and Buccaneers playing low-scoring NFC Championship games? They'd have a similar low-scoring affair 20 years later. It would end up 11-6. As for now, the Rams beat the Bucs 9-0 to advance to their first Super Bowl. Quarterback Vince Ferragamo took over for Pat Hayden at mid-season, and his numbers were not that great. 48.2 completion percentage, just 5 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, and a 49.0 passer rating. But the Rams succeeded thanks to their running game. Wendell Tyler had over 1,100 yards rushing, and their defense. The Youngbloods, Jack and Jim Youngblood, were a force to fear on defense. The Rams had great defensive backs such as Nolan Cromwell and Dave Ellendorf. The Rams could keep any game close because of their strong defense. To start off the game, the Rams won the coin toss and chose to receive. They went 3 and out, and they punted it back to Pittsburgh. Steelers got their offense going with a run by running back Rocky Bleier right up the middle for a first down at the 32. He came close to getting another first down, and then Franco Harris picked it up from there. Bradshaw then threw over the middle for Franco, and he picked up 32 yards down to the LA 26. That set up a 41-yard field goal by kicker Matt Barr, who barely got it over the crossbar for a 3-0 Pittsburgh lead. The Steelers then tried a surprise onside kick, but it failed, and LA got great field position. Tyler started the Rams' ensuing drive with a 6-yard catch and a 39-yard run down to the 13. Running back Lawrence McCutcheon ran it 3 times to get a first down at the 3. After Tyler was stopped twice right at the goal line, running back Cohen Bryant punched it in on 3rd down, and the Rams took a 7-3 lead. For the Steelers, their defensive back Larry Anderson, and he was their kickoff return specialist, and he took back the kickoff 45 yards. So Harris ran for a first down. Bleier ran for another first down after a couple of runs. Bradshaw then threw to Lynn Swan for a first down at the 18, and then he hit Cunningham down at the 5 for another first down. 3 plays later, Harris got in from the 1-yard line, standing up, and Pittsburgh took a 10-7 lead early in the second quarter. Rams weren't about to be pushed around, though. Tyler ran for a first down and caught a pass for a first down. Ferragamo then went to McCutcheon for another first down. A long pass fell incomplete, but Pittsburgh defensive back Donnie Sell got called for pass interference down the sideline. That set up kicker Frank Corral for a 31-yard field goal, and that tied the game at 10. Anderson ripped off another great return, this time 38 yards, but the Steelers' offense went 3 and out, and the punt went for a touchback. Ferragamo completed a 3rd down pass to Terry Nelson, but the Rams were forced to punt. On this Steelers possession, Elmendorf made an interception of a Bradshaw pass, so that set up the Rams with a chance to score. Ferragamo completed a 12-yard pass to Colin Bryant, and then he found receiver Billy Waddy on a 4th down play to get a first down. He hit Nelson down at the 14 for a first down, but then Pittsburgh defensive tackle John Banaszak sacked Ferragamo to end the drive. So Corral came on to try a 45-yard field goal, and he made it to put LA up 13-10 at the half. Starting out the second half, Anderson got yet another great kickoff return, this one 37 yards. The Steelers then sandwiched 2 Bradshaw passes to Swan around 3 runs, 2 of those by Harris. The second of those passes was a 47-yard touchdown on which Bradshaw found Swan on a deep ball. Matt Barr made the extra point, and Pittsburgh went up 17-13. The Rams started their next drive at 24. Ferragamo passed to Bryant for a short gain before facing 3rd and long. He then threw a deep ball to Waddy, who hauled it in for a 50-yard gain all the way to the Pittsburgh 24. Next, head coach Ray Malvasi called for a trick play. McCutcheon took a handoff to his right, and then he passed downfield for receiver Ron Smith. Touchdown! And Corral missed the extra point wide to the left, actually, and but Los Angeles still led the game 19-17. The next 2 drives for Pittsburgh ended in picks. First, Bradshaw almost had one returned for a pick 6 by defensive back Nolan Cromwell, but he couldn't hang on to it and it fell incomplete. But only 3 plays later, Eddie Brown picked one off and lateraled it to Pat Thomas, reaching the 38. Now the Rams punted, and Pittsburgh moved the ball back downfield with a 20-yard pass to Franco Harris and a 22-yard pass to running back Sidney Thornton. But Bradshaw had a pass tipped and intercepted by defensive back Rod Perry, and Los Angeles took their 2-point lead into the 4th quarter. Now remember, the Steelers were 10-point favorites for this game, and they're trailing by 2 entering the 4th quarter. So you got to be feeling pretty good if you pick the Rams plus 10 here, and maybe the Rams are about to pull off the upset. On the next drive by the Rams, Steelers defensive tackle Steve Furness and linebacker Lauren Tays combined on a sack of Ferragamo that forced the punt. Punter Ken Clark got away a 58-yard kick, and the Steelers got the ball back at their own 25. With Swan on the bench with an injury, Bradshaw faced a perilous moment. 3rd and 8, down by 2 points. On the fateful play, he threw a bomb. John Stallworth got underneath the pass and made an amazing catch, then sprinted 73 yards for a touchdown. Barr's extra point was good, and the Steelers led by 5, 24-19. That was the 6th lead change of the game, and it would also be the last one. The Rams went 3 and out, and so did the Steelers, so Los Angeles got the ball back with about 5 or 6 minutes, chance to get a winning touchdown. Ferragamo found receiver Preston Denard for a first down, then he hit him again at midfield. Waddy holding a pass for 14 yards, and the Rams had the ball at the Pittsburgh 32. This was their chance to take the lead, but the defensive play of the game was then made by Steelers linebacker Jack Lambert. He got in the way of the pass, picked it off down the middle, and returned it to the 29. And you never know, if he doesn't step in front of that pass, maybe the Rams score there or score later and take the lead. But in any case, it's Pittsburgh ball with 4 minutes to play. So facing 3rd down again on their new series, Bradshaw threw up another rainbow to Stallworth, and once again he made an over-the-shoulder catch, this time for 44 yards to the LA 23. Bradshaw went to the end zone 2 plays later, and the Steelers drew a pass interference flag on defensive back Pat Thomas. After the 2-minute warning, Harris pounded it in for the touchdown, and Pittsburgh went up by 12. Victory was all but assured for the Steelers now. The Rams got as far as the Pittsburgh 30 on their final drive, but they turned the ball over on downs, and it was all over. The Pittsburgh Steelers had won Super Bowl 14, 31-19, and head coach Chuck Noll was now a 4-time Super Bowl champion. Terry Bradshaw was named Super Bowl MVP for a second consecutive year. Only Bart Starr of the Green Bay Packers has ever been named Super Bowl MVP in back-to-back seasons. So those two are the only 2 back-to-back MVPs. Though I wouldn't give this MVP to Bradshaw if I had the choice. Pat Summerall said it during the broadcast. John Stallworth deserved MVP. Bradshaw threw 3 interceptions, and those are a big reason why Pittsburgh fell behind. Stallworth came up with 2 monster catches that totaled over 100 yards themselves. He ended up with 3 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. His 2 fourth-quarter catches decided the game all by themselves, and they were amazing, beautiful catches. There's no other way around it. Stallworth deserved MVP. Bradshaw deserved a lot of credit, but Stallworth got him that MVP. Who would be the most valuable player in the losing team? I'd have to go with running back Wendell Tyler. He rushed for 60 yards on 17 carries, and he caught 3 passes for 20 yards. Those aren't amazing numbers, but they are the best of anyone on the LA offense. The Rams' defense played a role in keeping the game so close. However, there wasn't one defensive player who stood out as the most valuable. I'm still going with Tyler because he played a vital role in helping the LA offense hold that lead after each of the first 3 quarters. The least valuable player? Well, this is a hard one to give out. There's really no one who is the least valuable player, but I'd have to go, if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to have to pick Rams defensive back Pat Thomas. He got called for a pass interference flag on the Steelers' final possession that set up Harris's 1-yard touchdown run. If he doesn't get called for that flag, the Rams probably lose the game anyway, but, you know, it did lead to giving up 7 points, and the Rams might have had a technical chance if he wouldn't have committed that penalty. Of course, it was a disputed penalty, too. Tom Brooks here on the broadcast didn't like the penalty. But, you know, there's not really anyone who is least valuable player of this game. Both teams played hard and played well. Thomas just made a bad mistake at a crucial time. The best player you've never heard of. Well, here's the thing. Like I said last episode, you know pretty much every player on every team when it comes to the Steelers and the Cowboys. So it's hard to come away with one, but I'm going to have to go with Larry Anderson, who is the kickoff returner for the Steelers. He's not known as well. He returned 5 kickoffs for 162 yards and a 32.4 average. All of those numbers Super Bowl records. His performance was the greatest that was the greatest performance by a kick returner in Super Bowl history up to this point in time, and probably still the greatest by a returner who didn't score a touchdown. I even thought of naming him MVP over Stallworth because he put the Steelers in such good field position on several occasions. The biggest play of the game was Stallworth's 73-yard touchdown reception. It came on a 3rd and long with Pittsburgh losing by 2. If Stallworth doesn't make that catch, maybe the Rams win. The Steelers would have had the punt, and who knows what happens from there. But, I do think the Steelers would have pulled it out eventually. They were the better team. But Stallworth's catch and Bradshaw's throw completely turned the game on its head. And, oh, by the way, the Steelers covered the spread. The best play that goes overlooked has to be Jack Lambert's interception in the fourth quarter. No, it's not a play that no one remembers, because most people probably do remember that pick. However, it gets overshadowed by Stallworth's amazing catches, Bradshaw's prolific passes, and Harris's hard runs. Lambert's pick essentially sealed the game for Pittsburgh, and that's why he's a Hall of Famer. The Rams gave it all they had and came up short. They were a Cinderella story, having lost 7 games during the regular season, but making it to the Super Bowl. Who are the other 2 teams to reach the Super Bowl with 7 losses? The answer to this week's pop quiz question is the 2008 Arizona Cardinals and the 2011 New York Giants. The Cards lost Super Bowl 43 to the Steelers, and the Giants won Super Bowl 46 over the New England Patriots. Interesting that 2 of Pittsburgh's 6 Super Bowl victories came over 2 of the worst teams to ever reach the Super Bowl. Finally, we've got some homework here, and this one is simple. It's a book called Steel Dynasty, The Team That Changed the NFL by Bill Chaston. This book covers the whole Steelers dynasty, but in particular, it's got some pretty good stuff on the 1979 Steelers and Super Bowl 14. It also includes an epilogue on the fall of the dynasty, which is helpful as we move on to the 80s, a decade in which Pittsburgh made just 1 AFC Championship game and 0 Super Bowls. I would also like to inform you of a new podcast that has been released. It is called With the Benefit of Hindsight by professional documentary maker John Ziegler. This podcast is all about the so-called Penn State scandal, and it will hit you like a bucket of cold water. You'll have your eyes open to the truth about that situation, and you'll find that what really happened is quite different from what you learn while watching the news. Again, that's With the Benefit of Hindsight, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts and other podcast places. In 2 weeks, we will tackle the first Super Bowl of the 80s, Super Bowl 15, between the good guys, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the bad guys, the Oakland Raiders. Will NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle have to award the Lombardi Trophy to Raiders owner Al Davis? Those guys hated each other, but you'll get to find out then. Until then, this is Tommy A. Phillips. My website with my books is TommyAPhillips.com. Until then, so long.
We here at the Sports History Network proudly partner with 26 podcasts, all revolving around the history of sports. But did you know that many of our hosts were sports history authors way before they started their shows? It's true. We've got Joe Ziemba, host of When Football Was Football, Joe Zagurski, host of Pro Football in the 1970s, Mark Morthier, host of Yesterday Sports, Tommy Phillips, host of Lombardi Memories, and Scott Adamson, co-host of From the 55-Yard Line. All these authors have many books for you to choose from. To check them out, go to our website at sportshistorynetwork.com/sportshistorybooks. Pick up your copy today. soundtrack provided by Kevin MacLeod of FilmMusic.io.